Hello. Good to have you on the program again, and of course it is the economy today. On this very special note, we'll be talking about the things that have to do with money. Of course, you know, all the time in the economy today we discuss money and the things that have to do with money. But the fact that we want to talk about the Naira specifically today is what makes it a different thing altogether. Okechukwu Onubogu, of course, is the name here, and I won't be doing this alone today. I have a guest that will be with me, and we will discuss what has to do with the Naira, find out how stable it has become, and I want to think about the instability of the Naira, its impact on the economy. But then, you could ask a question, is it still unstable? We'll discuss all that as we go on the program this day, and I've got someone that has something to do with business too. That's why she's here in the first place. Now you heard me say she. So it's a female guest I have today, and with whom I will discuss this topic I've already mentioned. She is a business development strategist, as well as someone that is a publicist and a politician. I must say that. But then let's discuss business with her today. I'm talking about Jennifer Serano. Good to have you on the program, Jenny.
Thank you. It's an absolute pleasure being here. Happy New Year.
I wish you the same. And we'll go this way. But before we start our talk and our discussion on the program, as always, we want to bring what we have as our news beats. And after the news beat, we'll still take something that has to do with the foreign exchange market and all that. Then we'll return and do the talking proper here. Let's take it. Yes, we've seen this, and we've got the news from the governor of the Apex Bank here, talking about the Central Bank of Nigeria, Layemi Cardoso being the governor. Well, that's it. We believe that the Naira, stable or unstable, anyone will find out at the end of the day today. But then he is saying that there are things that will work to make the stability much more serious, and well, we're looking forward to that because we want to see our money get real better and strong, you know, the way it used to be. I remember sometime in the past when we had the Naira being as strong as the dollar or the pound, even stronger at a stage in life. It was stronger. I don't know what has happened. But we can return to those days with serious dedication, with discipline and all that it requires, looking into what we have, cash crops in particular, the things that we'll have in the agricultural department, and to see what happens. Well, we'll talk about all this, and there's also the second story that has to do with the diaspora remittances. Ooh, talking about diaspora remittances, we know that there is a new word that has been coined that is even in the Advanced Learner's Dictionary now, Japa. It's there now because of Nigeria and what we do, and that is what gives us these remittances we're talking about. So whether it's to be encouraged or not, we'll find out more as we discuss on this program this day. But before we go into all that, the stock exchange, let's look at what we have in there. At the Nigerian Stock Exchange, we have the all shares index that is what we can see as a 744 rather. Then the value traded yesterday, of course, was 1.4 billion, and the volume 75.5 million, while the market capital is 64.88 trillion. Well, the fact that we are on the positive is one thing that's good. There is a 0.79% increase, that is, in the stock exchange market. So that's something positive. We'll look at the other things in there. Are there the top gainers? We'll have them. We'll also find out about the top decliners. So the top gainers, we have the honey flour gaining 10%. And this, of course, commodity market. Honey flour gaining 10%, the chelaram gaining 10% again, and then FM gaining 9.98%, almost 10%, and Sky AVN gaining 9.89%. And talking about the things involved is 9 naira 35 kobo, 5 naira 94 kobo, 55 naira 10 kobo, and 40 naira. That's what was added, and they had this percentage we've just talked about. I mean, the top gainers. Well, there must be losers when we have gainers, and so these are the top decliners. There are many decliners, but these are the leading decliners. And we have the Guinea Insurance doing a 10% decline, Altibrisco doing another 9.70% decline at 2 naira 70 kobo, while that of the Guinea Insurance is at 72 kobo. Veritas Cap has 9.30% decline at 1 naira 17 kobo loss, and May Baker has 8.95% decline at 8 naira 65 kobo. Well, these are the leading decliners. We have some other things to share, is it not? Let's look at the top active traders. We have Veritas Cap there, 44.5 million. That's what they brought in. Owendo brought in 8.5 million, while CI Leasing rather, it brought 5.8 million into the stock market as of yesterday. We'll find out what the ones that are doing today will do, but that was an impressive fund that was brought into it, not minding the fact that it happened. Veritas Cap is still among those ones who didn't get it for a while. Then looking at the oil market, we have the WTI, there's a West Texas Intermediate having a gain of 0.19%, and that is 14 cents. That's what it is, and $72.87. That's the price of the West Texas Intermediate crude right now. The Brent crude still on the positive, has $76.92 as still on the positive, and that's talking about 0.07% increase. The Melbourne crude 0.85%, and it's at $79.21. And Nigeria's Bonny Light is at $78.68, and of course it's been on a decline for a while. But this decline is not just a very painful decline, because one thing about Bonny Light is that it goes either up or down and stays there for at least 2 months. Like this one is gone to even the 4th month now. We're talking about having it at a steady price of $78 per barrel. Oh, well, that's good for us. We hope we'll get better and get back to 80, because it was at 80 before it came down to 79 and 78 now. We're hoping that maybe at the turn of the new month, we'll see Brent crude coming up again. Well, that's it. There are other commodities, we will not talk about them this day, like sugar, gold, and all that. But then let's just let it be at this and look at our topic one more time and start talking. Of course, it's the instability of the Naira. If you like, you say instability or stability. We'll find out. But all these, they have a strong impact on the economy. And I have someone who has an idea of it. That's why she's here in the first place. So let's hear what she thinks about it. Jenny, what do you think about the Naira instability in the first place?
So I would say, in terms of foreign exchange rates, the Naira has sort of settled on a particular line for quite a while, and the usual trends of the decline in the exchange rates, we know it's seasonal, but I would say in about going to nearly 2 years, we've been roughly around the same figure, except for there was a period of intervention by the central bank, which saw, should I say, an artificial increase in the value of the Naira, but that was very artificial. It only lasted for about a month, but we've sort of flatlined around the 17,000 Naira to the dollar. So if we're looking at that, we'll say it's stabilized on a on a low note.
Okay, stabilized on a low note, yes, because if it had gone down from 1.5 then to 1.413, it would have been beautiful.
It was actually at some point 1,100.
Yes, I still
for all of 1 month.
I have been wondering why it happened then, because it looked as though I think diaspora remittances helped it then.
I know there were some particular interventions by the central bank,
yes,
which also had to do with things. Beyond that, there were should I say, some punitive actions were taken against bureau de change operators.
That's it.
So that's why I said it's artificial, because that's not enough to sustain an economy. For our economy to be strong, we have to go back to that same table of manufacturing, producing. But as long as we are import dependent in another person's currency, we would always have a weak Naira.
Okay, as long as we are import dependent, we'll always have a weak Naira.
Sad.
This it's really sad. It's sad, really. But this last statement of yours is so strong, yet so real and so true, that it made me start thinking about some of the things some people said, like our minister for blue economy saying that there is nothing that can enter into the coffers of the government to help upgrade the money we have from the blue economy, and he's saying it will be as from the next 5 years, and I felt bad about that. Why should it be for 5 years we will be doing nothing, and plus the 2 years you have already spent there, you'll be doing nothing, and I don't understand. There is a lot we can do in blue economy. There is a lot that can happen from there. The fish we import from Thailand, we can get these and start domesticating them for our people through ponds, and even training them, helping them to change the habitat, even to be in our waters. But that has not been talked about. But what we're hearing is that it's sometime in the next 5 years that will happen. And there are so many things we have from fishery that can happen in this country. We wouldn't need to continue to import sardine and things like that from other countries, and when we have a lot here to talk about, we can work on this. So I still want to plead with that minister to do something so that blue economy would improve its value and bring in money. Apart from that, there is also the talk about the products we need to produce in Nigeria. Talking about products that we need to produce in Nigeria, Jenny, do you know that yesterday 5 LNG gas station, mini refineries were launched, that is commissioned, for it to start. Groundbreaking ceremony happened yesterday for LNG in Ajokuta. I think that's something that is good, because it will help in the use of LNG and CNG and all the gas family. That way, in actual fact, Nigeria has already started exporting gas. It's just that this month that is just ending, we came down a bit. Why? The reason is that there was serious vandalization of pipelines again for gas. You know, we're no longer talking about that of crude oil, it's now for gas. I think when these things are plugged effectively, it will go a long way in helping so that that thing you said will work for us in the country. What do you think? So,
you said quite a number of things, but let me commit to my memory. First of all, groundbreaking ceremonies are all very well and good, but I've learned over the years not to be excited about such, because when are the plants going to be operational? And I recall a few years ago, we were all excited about the Dangote refinery. I was one of the people that touted, championing the support from Mr. President with the fuel subsidy removal, because we were assured that in that same 2023, we would see domestic production of PMS and the like, and Nigeria's domestic purchase or price of PMS and the like would be reduced.
Okay, we'll just hold it at that. We'll take a break and we'll return not long from now. Please bear with us. Oh, thank you for being there still for us, and we're still on to it. And Jenny had something she was saying before I called for this break, so let's return to her.
Yes, I said I don't get overly excited about groundbreakings and launchings of projects in Nigeria. I would be excited when the projects are actually completed and we see the output. We waited for a long time for the Dangote refinery. We were promised it was going to be fully functional in 2023. And as of until last year, there were stories of it was completed, there was PMS and the like available, there were no people purchasing, a lot of stories. So Nigeria is beginning to make me more pessimistic, so I don't get excited about things like that. However, I think the focus, you mentioned, for example, the blue economy. We have so much potential as a nation to produce everything that we require to be for the major part, I would say, self-sufficient. I mean, no nation is self-sufficient, but we can produce a lot. And say, even if it's 50% of what we consume domestically, that would put us in a better light. I see no particular reason why we must import so much fish. The geography, the climate of Thailand is quite similar to ours. Yes. They're tropical. So I do not see why we cannot also concentrate on developing our own fish farms. That would reduce the cost of import. Yeah. So we import, and everything we purchase is usually in the US dollar. And Naira is at best 1,500 Naira to the dollar. So always we have to suffer inflation and this high cost of domestic goods because of the import. But if perhaps we grew our own fish in Nigeria, and everything that costs, from the feeding to the energy costs to the preservation and processing costs of it was in Naira, the cost of fish will be a lot cheaper. And other nations wouldn't thrive on our economy at the detriment of our economy. So that's my take. The managers of our economy tell us, they're clearing off the debts, they're improving the foreign reserve, but are we seeing it impacting on the day-to-day activities of individuals and businesses in Nigeria? That I would have to say no. So we just have to be more concentrated on producing every consumable, from energy to food to clothing to even our construction materials. And the sad part is we have the raw materials here. And other nations come, they take our raw materials and they refine it and sell it back to us at quadruple the price. That's our barest minimum. And we should have a will to be less consumers and more producers in this nation. I also always say that our educational system has structured most people to think it's okay to do white collar jobs, it's okay to just push pen and paper about and not to be genuinely productive. That has to be looked into. So I'd like to call on the president and the managers of our economy. It's not enough to push all these figures around. Let's start working towards getting Nigeria more productive. We talk about trade and investments every time we're looking for people from elsewhere to bring money, but what are they bringing this money for? Are they using it to develop our raw materials so that we can be not just selling raw materials, but how about producing the finished products? You'll be surprised to understand that in Nigeria, something as minute as a matchstick we import. Something as minute as a lighter, yes, a lighter, a striker for your cooking is imported. So as long as we depend on other people for the bare minimum, Nigeria's economy will always be on a low, and no amount of talk by the president or minister of finance can change that.
I agree with you. Because of the fact that it's been a long time we've been talking about this matter of getting something done here. I don't know. I'm waiting for the day I will meet Dangote to ask him this question. There was a time Dangote started with fruit juice. It was called Dancer. Oh, I took the first cup, of
no,
that is from the container into my cup and drank. I was so glad that it came from my own country, Nigeria. But after a while, we stopped seeing the Dancer, and everything about it just died down. And I began to wonder, does it mean that this man went abroad and produced and then imported, or what? Because if he had built a factory where this thing was done, he wouldn't just keep his hands down and let the factory go down the drain. I didn't understand that. I still don't up to now. And that's why it pains, because we see in our country, when it's the rainy season, when there is the period that we have fruits all over the place, like oranges, mangoes, and all that, we have all those fruits everywhere. I won't forget in a hurry my visit to one community in Enugu State some years back, and it was a time of harvest of mangoes and all that, and I got in there. My vehicle I parked somewhere, and I was walking along the road to get something down the road. What I saw made me shed tears. I just saw mangoes, about 4 or 5 trees of mangoes in all of the compounds. Each compound has its own 4 or 5 or even 6 trees of mangoes, and all ripe. You know what? They will all fall on the ground and get rotten there. Afterwards, they'll sweep. Oh, at a stage, I had to ask a question. I asked them, I asked the locals, I said, why do you have these mangoes all over this place, all on the ground, and nothing happens? He said, we're tired. It's ours, we're tired. Do you want? Please, take as much as you can. I said, really? He said, yes, take as much as you can. If you have your car, bring your vehicles, we'll fill your boot with these things. Oh, it pained me, because this would have been a selling point for that community, that the government would go out and look for producers of fruit juice to come into that community, build a factory, and start working with it. And this, of course, when it's done, will help, because when there is so much, just as you said, when we are self-sustained in this one, there will be a reason for us to export. And when the exportation is done, foreign exchange comes in, and it helps to stabilize our money, the Naira. But we're not doing it. We're not doing it. There are many products that are just lying and being wasted like that. At the end of the day, that ends the story.
Well, I still maintain a lot has to be done in the orientation and the education of our people. I recall reading about China's history. China was a poor country, and they had to pay, I'm looking for the word, some sort of remittance to their should I say the colonizers?
Yeah, okay.
But China, the leadership made a decision that everybody in China would be productive, that China would produce, China would depend less on other people. And then this how we have China as one of the world superpowers in terms of production and economy. If not for some manipulation of the West, we would say China is a world superpower economically right now, but the West will not be comfortable accepting that. But what changed? They made sure when there was regulations in terms of reproduction. I remember reading this in school and I thought, this is really interesting. Families were not allowed to have more than one child. If you had more than one child, the state will offer you an abortion and mandatory sterilization. And then each person has to produce something. This is what is missing. So you have mangoes in your community and they're growing. Why can you not see that such mangoes are a key, a God-given key to your economic development in that community?
Yes.
You don't always have to wait for the government, because what I know is that if we are able to think, we can come up with innovation. They say necessity is the father of invention. No government has to teach us how to make gari. And cassava, from what I understand, was in its own potentially poisonous root. And some people came up with how to reduce the poison, the cyanide element, and smoke gari and make cassava flour and make abacha and all the things that come from it. So those same people can come together. Okay, we have an excess of mango in this community. That's all we have. How are we going to make mango juice? I'm sure there's a way they can manually extract mango. If we can manually extract palm oil from the palm kernel, we can manually extract a mango from the fruit. And we can learn, okay, what can we do with the back of the mango? What can we do with the seed? What can we do with the juice? How can we preserve it? How can we package this as a community and start to sell? These are the same people who will complain and say government has forgotten them. But I'd always say, anywhere I am, do not wait for the government. A mentor of mine said many years ago, about 20 years ago, said no government was established to make people rich. They're there for themselves. It's a sad reality. We say we have a democracy, which is government of the people, for the people, by the people, but we find that government is for the people in the government.
Yes, it's
majorly. Yes. So communities need to look inward. What can we do to help ourselves? How can we as a community create wealth without being mentally incapacitated? So I find the ultimate problem in Nigeria is this mental incapacity, this laziness of the mind, waiting for somebody to come save you, waiting to beg.
Yes.
And the same community, if someone wanted to be a member of House of Reps or Senator, went there to them, they won't say, oh, give us a factory so we can process our mangoes. No, they'll say, give us money so we can eat. And he will give you money, and then after he wins, you don't see him anymore. So this is what we have to change. We owe ourselves that duty to help ourselves.
While you were mentioning this, something came to my mind. Remember the palm oil thing? We were about the largest producer of palm oil sometime in the past, but we are no longer there. We're about the 6th largest producer of palm oil today. What happened?
I'll tell you what happened.
The Thailand came here.
No, I will tell you what happened. What has happened to our industry? What's happened to our industries is that we became... all of us, and I don't mean individuals, I mean the system of Nigeria, became beggars, lazy. Every state waits for federal government allocation.
That allocation that will come at
every month. Give us money. The governors come, give us money. Ministers come, give us money. And no one is thinking, how can I develop what is within my purview to not only make revenue for myself, but to remit to federal government. This is where the problem lies. So we still have one of the best soils, topography in the world. We can grow anything in Nigeria, from just where apples are grown, pears are grown, grapes are grown, to the southeast, even some of the southwest, where we can produce the best of cocoa, of palm oil, which is translated into beauty products across the world. But this unwillingness,
including the nuts that has the groundnut oil that could be used for something that will
soy. They have the soy. There's ginger. There's cashew. There's a lot going on. But this unwillingness to develop, just every month the governors come down to Abuja, collect the federal allocation, and everybody goes back, blows it, and comes. And this mentality is why Nigeria is where it is. I had the opportunity of speaking with some investment banker from Switzerland, and he was in Nigeria, and we just got talking about what other countries he does business, and he mentioned so many African countries, some that I was not even aware of. I asked how the economies are doing there. He said, every economy that is not dependent on natural minerals, they thrive. And he mentioned some countries, I don't want to give names, that they don't have gold, they don't have oil, but they're doing well. So we in Nigeria have become lazy and dependent on crude oil and its byproducts as a means of sustenance. So as long as that mentality remains, Nigeria's economy will always be again on the barest minimal. It's going to be a low note. It is sad to say that the Naira is now so weak, is even weak against the CFA, is weak against the Ghanaian economy. Our neighbors in West Africa are surpassing us. Yet this is a nation that is richly blessed, not only with potentiality in agriculture, in crude, in solid minerals. I was surprised to find that in Nigeria there are diamond mines, there are sapphire mines, there's every kind of natural resources we have, lithium, uranium, we're so blessed, copper, steel, we can go on and on, iron ore, coal, we have all of it in Nigeria. But as a people, we had become relaxed.
And also, we are getting money from oil.
Yes, and sadly, the people who are in government, who are supposed to be in charge of this, the public administrators, are also just in there to just collect as easily as possible and sworn off.
Yes.
No one is really thinking deeply about developing this nation. And I have to say, much as this may very well hurt my political career, because I am a supporter of Mr. President. I feel that the ideals of Nigeria has been, or of this government, has not really been executed. We expected Mr. President to come in with new policies, such as turning the economy around in terms of a drive towards better energy and production, manufacturing as a nation.
Yes.
But we haven't seen that. We saw an increase in budget spending, in budgets, because he went from, I think we had about 36 ministers to about 40 something now. Which means increases of budgets of government spending.
Yes.
So we have more ministers, more essays, more PAs, more expenditure, but we're not seeing the impact of all of this. I would say, instead of having all these additional ministries, we could have been benefiting from, say, one ministry that was focused on production, making sure that all the existing ministries are effective and they have one mission, which is to produce. Every sector has something that it can give, except for maybe education and health, which will take revenue. The others all have capacity to create a revenue, but we are not seeing this. When you speak to ministers or people in government, they tell you, we have not received money. We have not received money. We have not received money. So why do you not put in policies in place that will help you get money by yourself? But what we see is that this government has put more pressure on the citizenry. For example, the minister of power came and said, we cannot sustain the model that is being run now, so we're increasing electricity by 300%. we saw an increase in tariff. Are we seeing an improvement in the service?
No.
In fact, the service has been at a decline. So we are not seeing this renewed hope agenda being played out. And I would say, I know that being a president is a learning curve. So, Mr. President, I love you. I support you. I just would implore you to get better advisors on how to do things better.
Now look at this one. He has gone to some countries outside. He has gone to France, he's gone to Saudi Arabia, he's gone to countries like that, China and all that he's going about. He's trying to get people that will come and invest in Nigeria. And the question we keep asking is, if these investors look at our money and it doesn't have a stable quality, will they come? That's number one. So we need to work on getting our Naira to be quite stable. And with that stability, you can ask, and of course, having a foreign exchange, foreign reserve there, which he has done, is trying to lift the foreign reserve above 40.
Yeah.
So that's good. Yes.
Focus.
Yeah. But then the other thing is, when you do all these and you do not have effective security in your land, you see that investor, that foreign investor, will still find it difficult to come in, because we need to, not only just investors, we need industrialists to come in, not just to come and explore what we've got and take outside, but to work, get to build factories here that people will come in and work and produce these things we're talking about.
So I think you miss the fact that most investors, they're called investors for a reason. They're not charitable organizations. They are not. So they would come if they see it will benefit them. But it might benefit them at the detriment of the host nation. So investors have no problem coming to Nigeria, as long as the government is willing to produce or give them that conducive environment. I think President Bola Ahmed Tinubu has gone around the world to every place possible to collect as much as we can in terms of foreign investments. I think he has done a good job, and I would applaud him for that, because he made sure that he was not a president who was just going on vacation. He went everywhere to improve our trade relationships with various nations. That's great. But how about we look into indigenous production, having small-scale producers, small-scale SMEs, because the SMEs are the powerhouse of the nation. Look at China. We have billionaires such as the owners of AliExpress. We have the owners of Amazon. What do? They provide a market for these small businesses to sell their products. We need our own Amazon in Nigeria. But first, we need an enabling environment for these businesses to survive. When, as a business owner, my electricity bill is killing me, I have to pay so much for diesel, I cannot afford to produce. I was once a manufacturer in Nigeria, but the cost of production outweighed what I could sell, and also there is not that enabling market. And then there's taxation. I think the whole picture is mixed up. On one hand, you say you're supporting SMEs. On the other hand, there is the FIRs being out for increase in revenue, which is going to be on the business people. So it's counterproductive, and I'm not understanding why no one is saying this. We're increasing taxation, we're increasing the cost of energy and production, we've increased the cost of labor, and no succor for the business person, and you want them to produce. How?
Well, I want to say something.
It's only the capitalists that are advantaged. People with huge bucks can only come in and make products and force everyone to buy at whatever rate that is convenient for them. There's even an increase in telecoms tariff. So how do businesses thrive? So if I manage to go through all the obstacles of no electricity and finding a way to produce, I still have to go through the hurdle of, okay, for me to even showcase my things online, it's still going to cost me a lot of money.
A whole lot of money to get them.
So how are we developing the local economy? This is what we should look at. Enough of going around the world asking for investors and cap in hand.
Yes.
How about enabling
the infrastructure itself, the infrastructural development too? It would also help to bring the Naira to be stable, because if our infrastructure is perfectly developed,
so when you say infrastructure,
that's talking about roads, talking about giving us good
all
roads.
These are still capital projects, and year after year, trillions are sunk into these projects. They have no meaning.
Not much
they have no meaning.
Yeah, okay.
I would say they have no meaning. What I always advise my clients who go into business is ensure that you're close to your market, or ensure you're close to your supply.
Okay.
So if you're producing a cocoa-based product, make sure you're located in not just Southwest, be somewhere that's conducive. And then in terms of roads in Nigeria, I would say it's a conundrum. Year after year, ministers of work spend a lot of money. We don't see the roads completed. There's an alternative, which is the rail. It's cheaper, it's safer. You can always transport your finished products through the rail networks. So I seriously advocate that for any business happening. We just need a better direction in terms of the political will of this nation. Should move away from, let's just collect what we can in terms of federal allocation. Let us develop our people. Let us develop our communities. Even if communities would just, like that community that has excess of mangoes. If all they concentrated was that, and they would find different ways to make mangoes. You can probably find some medicine from the mango tree, and food sustenance, mango powder, and that would be an exchange as a community. That, okay, we're exporting these things, and in return, from the neighboring communities, we get yam, we get pepper, we get oil. Let us look into that. So before, also, I would say, before pointing fingers at Mr. President, I would say, let us as individuals, as communities, look inward. How can we produce? How can I be more self-sustaining as a person, as a member of a household, as a member of community? That is where we need to go, because that's what helped China. Today, China moved away from having to pay Japan money to now coming to Nigeria, Uganda, and all sorts of nations and offering us aid. But the aids are not exactly aids. They're like chaps. They're loans. In exchange for our raw materials, in exchange for our crude. I remember it was last year that it was said that somebody had made an agreement to give our crude 20 years in advance to a particular nation. So all these aids, all these investments come at a high cost.
Of course, we are losing somehow.
To the detriment of the economy.
Right now.
So there has to be these reviews, Mr. President.
I still want to maintain the fact that we need to get back to the SMEs. It's so important. Look at Kogi State again. This same Kogi, I'm mentioning Kogi a second time. This time in Kogi State, we have people who produce cashew nuts and all that, because there's a whole lot of cashew in Kogi State. I also visited some time ago, and I was seeing the fruit falling on just like that anyhow. And
I'd like that.
Exactly. If we had a factory that will be producing cashew juice from there, it would have helped. Again, and apart from that, one thing about cashew is that there are so many things that.
Again, I said let's move away from the factories, because it might not be the governor's agenda to move.
What about? Okay, then let the
local community. The same way local women produce palm oil and let them work on that.
Okay, these are the things. Some of the things that we've seen that we need to do for our country and for ourselves, in actual fact, because when individuals get to have sources of income and those sources are effective and active, then of course a community gets to have it, because those individuals are in the community, and when the community gets to have it, then a state gets to have it, and when it happens to a state, definitely it will come to the nation.
You mentioned insecurity. How did we get here? We have a lot of young people unemployed, underemployed, not fully engaged, and they need a means of sustenance. Insecurity will thrive. Everything largely depends on the economy. So if communities could engage their young people, what are their young men doing? They can start going around and gathering the cashew fans and pounding it manually or whatever.
And
find a way to create.
And of course the nuts.
We all should be creative as a people.
Even the case of the nuts, they use it to construct in road construction, and they also get something from it for production of polish that we use to polish our shoes.
So the possibilities are endless.
Yes.
So when we talk about our economy
and get it done.
So I would say when we talk about our economy, and this is me speaking to Ministry of Information, NRA, it's important to encourage individual productivity. In China, even from primary school level, they teach the children how to put things together, how to assemble, how to create, and this is the way to go about it. I find Nigeria's education system missing that, where people only write. You find someone who studied engineering and he'll tell you he's never seen the machine before, he's only seen the picture in a book. We need to move away from that. So the education minister, the minister of information needs to start putting our word. Let us try to be productive and creating as individuals. Education also should move away from just paper education into practical, into vocation. I've been an advocate of this, that paper education does not really benefit anyone, especially in this country where there are not enough jobs. And also the education, sometimes the education level is at best substandard. So people are not really prepared for the challenges of the workplace. So instead of wasting all of those resources, how about we include vocational studies? Learn how to make things from your local community. So whatever you have available in your local community, learn how to put it to the best use, how to produce from that. And that's the way to develop your local economy. That's the way to develop yourself as a person. That's the way that you will end up not only being self-sufficient, but helping other people. And when other people in your community have something doing, they would be less likely to join criminal activity. So altogether, it's a collaborative effort.
Okay, that's it. Well, that's a good ground on which we can just let it be for this week. And there's still a whole lot to talk concerning that. But the ultimate aim is that by the time all these things get to happen, our Naira gets to be stabilized and gets to improve and gets to get strong. We need a strong currency to fight this war, because it's important. And that's why we've just looked into a whole lot. We didn't just face only one thing. We went all around. So that you see, we looked into education, looked at information, looked at
agriculture,
aquaculture, look at production, and all this put together, power and all that, just to ensure that if all these things get to be in order, definitely, you don't even need to go outside to invite someone to come into your country. They would see it and they will bring themselves, because they are looking for where they can invest effectively and make good money. They are not Father Christmases. They are humans that are looking at what they want to do. And president, before he became the president, he's been known to be a capitalist. So let him do something, and let's start letting everybody else get to have what to do so as to improve the economy of the land. Well, it's been great sharing the moment with you there, of course, and of course with my great guest here, who has been sharing all this while from the beginning to the very end now. I'm talking about Jenny. Jennifer, it's a pleasure having you again.
Always.
And of course, it wouldn't be the last time you'll be here. Look forward to getting you back here so we'll share a lot more on the program. Since, of course, you have a lot of things to tell the world about the economy. We'll get it together. And we also wish you well in your political struggles.
Thank you very much.
Yes, you do all that. And that's how to say thank you so much. It's good to have you here. And let me thank you, dear viewer, for being part of what has happened all through this day. Thank you so much. I wouldn't forget to say thanks to Okechukwu and the team there. I wouldn't forget to mention that there's a team with him, Chigote, and there is Victor, and there is also Solomon, Emmanuel, and there are a lot of them put together. We thank you for being part of it, of course, Okechukwu. And me, myself, I'm Okechukwu Onubogu, saying thank you for being there. Let me not forget to thank Victor Adeyeye also for helping put things we've done together today. Till we meet again some other time, we wish you the very best.